When we talk about Paint the Town Red's Beneath mode, I find it to be very fun, but I feel like it's a little bit disappointing. After years of hyping it up, it released a while back. I'm not entirely sure when it released. I think it was like a year or two ago, maybe. Let me search it up actually. Town Red Beneath mode. Uh, when did it release? 2019. Really? 2019? Uh, really? Oh god. I'm just gonna say a couple years ago now for the sake of all this, but when it released, people were very hyped for it because it was obviously a very hyped thing that the developers wanted to put out, and the general consensus from what I saw, before I even played it, was that it was kind of disappointing. I share the same consensus that I think it's a little bit disappointing, though it's still fun. It builds on Paint the Town Red's gameplay mechanics, that it has, voxel-based destruction sort of stuff. You get more weapons, more guns, more everything. But I guess in a sense, bigger doesn't always mean better. So my main gripe with the mode is mainly the bosses, more so than the enemies, because the enemies are fine, because this is meant to be like a horde-based shooter, clearer, fighter sort of thing, so I'm not really too concerned about the quantity of the enemies that you have to fight, considering the player gets powerful nonetheless, but the bosses do kind of suck, in the aspect of they're either too quick to die, like the final boss, like holy hell, you can kill them on one cycle with like enchanted katanas as Spectre and Wraith, whichever one heals, because that's the one I mained. They just die very quickly, and I feel like the game still has that jank, which doesn't really work as well beneath. And also, goddamn the Trickster. He was difficult because of the parkour ocean section that instantly killed you if you slipped off wrong. That was just absolutely insane to get by, I remember, even though he died quickly. It's just the invulnerability frames the bosses get when they change like phases. That was a bit annoying. The frost biome, the caves, that area. Yeah, can we just like pretend that doesn't exist? Because holy hell, that is probably the most cancerous area in the game, in my opinion. I just don't like the crystal caves. I think that's what they're called. Like, whatever. They just have annoying enemies that just exist. And it's kind of like, well, you need a sharp object to kill most of them. You can't run around with blunt objects. Like with the hydras and stuff, they're not viable now. I feel like when it's coming to progression, it's very ambiguous on how you actually do progress in Beneath, because yeah, it's meant to be a roguelike. Yeah, you get stronger after every death, but like, how do you face the other bosses? Like, how are you supposed to know that that temple in the crystal caves gives you like a two-part map? How are you supposed to figure that out? How are you supposed to like know that a pursuer is meant to kill the statue in ruins? How are you supposed to know to use the staff to get to the portal? It's like, of course, once you figure it out, it's easy to get to, but it's like, well, how are you supposed to get there in the first place? How about putting the egg sack on the guy that pushes you around? How are you supposed to figure that out and wait for it to grow at him and for the turret to shoot him? How are you supposed to figure that out for the Trickster? Like how? I don't understand. Like, I had to use the wiki to get half of this stuff. I feel like if this mode was to be redone a bit, they should make it a bit more obvious, or at least allow to point in the right direction on where to go. Speaking of which, going back a little bit with the Pursuer, I actually liked the Pursuer. People weren't the biggest fan of the Pursuer and how it was pretty much a time limit. I think it's quite cool because it actually proves to be an actual threat to the player instead of the hordes of enemies that you can just mow down with a katana. Hell, even like the little black chunk, like shard weapons, you can easily get. You can easily find them and just like slice through a bunch of enemies before they break. You can even throw them and it like pierces all of them. I feel like the Pursuer is a cool concept, but even in the Lost World, it's still cool because it's kind of like, oh, you get weapons that kill the Pursuer, but you kind of get like one slip up and it's game over sort of thing. Yeah. Uh, for the shard bearers, like the oh my god, I forgot what they were now. Fireman, shadow guy with fire sword. See, they're not that memorable, and they kind of appear like villains of the week, which is cool, I guess. But like, they're just there. They're just slightly tougher enemies. They're mini bosses. There's nothing really much to talk about them. When you first face them, they feel like hell in the world because you haven't got anything to deal with. But it's like, all right, cool. Now they're just with the fray now, and it's fun. And the challenges that you can do in the game are fun. They give rewards, but it's like something's missing. It's not all there despite being fully released. And I don't know what to put it on. Like I don't know how to improve it, but it doesn't feel. I mean, apart from what I've listed, bosses kind of suck and all that stuff. Uh, it's a little bit disappointing compared to the polish. I mean, when I say polish, I mean like the fun and creativity you can have with the base game and the you know the workshop levels that you can put up. I feel like that feels more like Paint the Town Red than Beneath. And then you have the lore, which is kind of scarce. Like, it references the events of the other scenarios, like, the biker bar, the prison, the disco, the Wild West, and the Pirate Cove, I think that's all. I think. I think. It references them, and you can find, like, little symbols and stuff, which is cool, but it's like, what does it mean? It doesn't really mean anything. And the fact that this game kind of lost attention after, like, 2018, 2019 means that nobody really wanted to pick up the chunks for the lore, which is a little bit sad, but it doesn't help. It means it doesn't get developed. Yeah, but yeah, that's Beneath. I find it fun, but that's because Paint the Town Red in general is fun. If you've got like core gameplay mechanics, no matter how hard you screw up a game, it's still going to be fun at the very least. Yeah, that's all I really have to say.